Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the UES Defiance, staring at the massive display screen that showed the ongoing battle between two alien races. The holographic images showed ships exploding, planets burning, and millions of lives being lost every day. For 7 long years, he had watched this war destroy everything in its path. The war was between the Zephyrian Empire and the Collective Alliance. These two alien civilizations had been fighting for 30 years, and neither side could win. The Zephyrians had better shields and energy weapons that could cut through metal like butter. The Collective Alliance had more ships and smart computer systems that could think and adapt during battle. Commander Lisa Hayes walked up to the Admiral with a tablet in her hands. She was his best tactical officer and had been studying the war since it began. Her face looked tired, and Morrison could see the stress in her eyes. "Sir, the latest reports show that both sides lost another 1,000,000 soldiers this week," she said. Quietly, the Zephyrians destroyed 3 collective worlds, but the Collective took out 2 Zephyrian supply bases. "It's the same pattern we've seen for years," Morrison nodded slowly. He had seen these reports before. Every week brought news of massive battles, destroyed planets, and countless deaths. The two alien races seemed determined to fight until one of them was completely wiped out. "What about their technology?" Morrison asked. "Any changes?" Lisa shook her head. "The Zephyrians still have those energy shields that can stop almost any attack. Their weapons can melt through ship armor in seconds. But they're not very good at building lots of ships quickly." She tapped her tablet and showed him more data. "The Collective Alliance has the opposite problem. They can build hundreds of ships every month, and their artificial intelligence systems get smarter with every battle. But their weapons are weaker, and their shields can't take much damage." Morrison had heard this analysis many times before. The Zephyrians were few but powerful. The Collective Alliance was numerous but individually weak. It was like watching a battle between a small group of knights and a huge army of peasants. Neither side could gain a real advantage. Captain Ryan Parker entered the command center with a worried expression on his face. He was Earth's top diplomat and had spent months talking to both alien governments. Both sides wanted humanity to join their war and help them win. "Admiral, I just finished another meeting with the Zephyrian ambassador," Ryan said. "They're offering us their shield technology and control of 5-star systems if we help them defeat the Collective." Morrison raised an eyebrow. "That's a generous offer. What did you tell them?" "The same thing I told the Collective yesterday, when they offered us their eye technology and 10-star systems," Ryan replied. "I said we need more time to decide." The truth was that Earth's government had already decided. They would not join either side in this war. Humanity had watched both alien races destroy entire worlds and kill billions of innocent people. The Earth Council had voted to stay neutral and learn as much as possible about both civilizations. Dr. Amanda Foster walked into the room carrying a briefcase full of alien technology samples. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and had been studying captured Zephyrian and Collective equipment for years. "Admiral, I've made an interesting discovery," she said, opening her briefcase. "Both alien races have a major weakness that they don't seem to know about." Morrison and the others gathered around as Dr. Foster pulled out charts and diagrams. She pointed to images of Zephyrian and Collective soldiers. "Look at their body structure," she explained. "Both species evolved on worlds with very low gravity and thin air. Their bones are weak, their muscles are small, and their hearts can't pump blood very well in normal gravity." She showed them more data. "This means they can only fight at full strength for short periods of time. After about 20 minutes of intense combat, they need to rest for hours. That's why their battles last for days or weeks instead of hours." Lisa looked at the charts with interest. "So they're both physically weak compared to humans?" "Exactly," Dr. Foster said. "Humans evolved on a heavy world with thick air. We're much stronger and can fight for much longer without getting tired. But they don't know this because they've never fought humans before. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. If this information was correct, it meant that humanity had a huge advantage that neither alien race suspected. But he hoped they would never need to use it. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent alarm. Lieutenant Commander. Nick Taylor rushed into the room with a communication device in his hand. "Sir, we're receiving an emergency broadcast from New Denver Station," he said breathlessly. "They're under attack." Morrison grabbed the communicator. "This is Admiral Morrison. New Denver Station, report your status." The voice that came through. The speaker was filled with panic and static. "Admiral, this is Captain Beth Turner at New Denver Station. We're under heavy attack by Zephian ships. They came out of nowhere and started firing on our civilian areas. We have thousands of casualties, and our defenses are failing." Morrison felt his blood turn cold. New Denver Station was one of Earth's outer colonies, home to 50,000 people. It was supposed to be protected by the neutrality agreements that both alien races had signed. "How many ships are attacking you?" Morrison asked. "At least 20 Zephyrian cruisers and support vessels," came the reply. "They're demanding that we surrender the station to them. They say Earth's neutrality is over and we must choose a side." Lisa was already pulling up tactical displays of the New Denver system. "Sir, it would take our nearest patrol 6 hours to reach the station. By then, it might be too late." Morrison closed his eyes for a moment. For 7 years, humanity had watched this war from the sidelines. They had tried to stay neutral, to avoid being pulled into the conflict, but now the war had come to them. "Captain Turner, hold your position as long as possible," Morrison said into the communicator. "Help is on the way." He turned to his staff. "Officers, signal all Earth Defense Forces, code Red Alert. Prepare for immediate deployment to the New Denver system." Ryan looked concerned. "Admiral, if we attack the Zephyrians, it means we're joining the war on the side of the Collective Alliance." Morrison shook his head. "No, Captain. If we attack the Zephyrians, it means we're defending ourselves. There's a difference." Dr. Foster packed up her research quickly. "Sir, should I prepare my analysis of alien weaknesses for the tactical teams?" "Yes, Doctor. It looks like we're going to need every advantage we can get." As the command center burst into activity, Morrison stared at the display screen again. The images of the ongoing war looked different now. What had been a distant conflict between alien races was now a direct threat to humanity. He thought about the 3,000 people who had already died at New Denver Station. He thought about the families who were waiting for news of their loved ones. Most importantly, he thought about the choice that humanity now faced. For 30 years, the Zephyrians and Collective Alliance had been destroying each other and everything around them. They had turned dozens of worlds into graveyards and killed billions of innocent people. Now they wanted to drag humanity into their endless war of destruction. Morrison made his decision. Humanity would enter this war, but not on the side that either alien race expected. They would fight to end the conflict, once and for all. "Commander Hayes, prepare the fleet for combat operations," he ordered. "And send a message to Earth Command. Tell them that our neutrality has ended and the real war is about to begin." As alarms sounded throughout the ship and crews prepared for battle, Morrison continued to watch the display screen. Soon, the images of alien ships and burning worlds would include human vessels. But if his plan worked, those images would be the last ones of this terrible war. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans finally decided to fight. 3 hours after the attack on New Denver Station, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in a secret meeting room deep inside Earth's military headquarters. The room was filled with people he had never seen together before. These were the men and women who had been preparing for this day while the rest of humanity believed they were staying neutral. General, Kevin Walsh stepped forward with a thick folder in his hands. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. For the past 7 years, he had been in charge of Earth's most classified military project. "Admiral, it's time you learned the truth about what we've been doing," General Walsh said. "While everyone thought we were staying out of the war, we've been getting ready for the day when we would have to fight." He opened the folder and spread photographs across the table. The images showed massive shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Hundreds of workers in spacesuits were building ships unlike anything Morrison had ever seen. "We have been building a new type of warship," General Walsh explained. "These ships are designed specifically to fight both the Zephyrians and the Collective Alliance at the same time." Morrison picked up one of the photographs. The ships looked different from traditional human vessels. They were sleeker, more angular, and covered with strange equipment. "How many ships do we have?" Morrison asked. 237 combat vessels of various sizes," Walsh replied, "plus support ships, supply vessels, and specialized craft for different missions." Chief Engineer Carol Brooks stood up from her chair. She was a small woman with short brown hair and hands stained with machine oil. She had been working on weapons technology for the past 5 years. "Admiral, let me show you something that will change how we fight wars," she said. Activating a holographic projector, the display showed a cutaway view of a human weapon system. Instead of the energy beams used by aliens, this weapon channeled something completely different. "We call it the fusion lance," Carol explained. "It takes a controlled nuclear fusion reaction and channels it through magnetic fields. Instead of shooting energy, we shoot pieces of matter moving at incredible speeds." Morrison studied the hologram. "How does it compare to alien weapons?" "The Zephyrian energy beams can be stopped by their shields," Carol said. "The Collective's plasma weapons are weak against heavy armor. But our fusion lance shoots physical projectiles that can punch through any shield we've tested." She changed the display to show test results. "A single shot from our smallest fusion lance can destroy a Zephyrian cruiser. The projectile goes right through their energy shields like they don't exist." Paul Manning stepped out of the shadows in the corner of the room. He was Earth's intelligence director, and few people knew what he really did for a living. His job was to gather information about Earth's enemies and friends. "Admiral, we haven't just been building ships and weapons," Paul said quietly. "We've been placing our people inside both alien governments for years." Morrison felt surprised. "You mean we have spies working for the Zephyrians and the Collective?" "Not working for them," Paul corrected. "Working among them. Agent Helen Carter has been living on the Zephyrian homeworld for 2 years. She works in their military planning department and knows where all their important installations are located." He pulled out another folder with classified documents. Agent Dan Rogers infiltrated the Collective's central computer network. He's been feeding false information to their artificial intelligence systems and learning about their weaknesses. Morrison looked at the documents. They contained detailed maps of alien military bases, supply routes, and command centers. There were also personality profiles of alien leaders and analysis of their decision-making patterns. "This information is incredible," Morrison said. "How did you get people into such sensitive positions?" Paul smiled slightly. "The Zephyrians and Collective have been fighting each other for so long that they don't pay attention to neutral parties. Our agents simply applied for jobs, and the aliens were happy to have workers who weren't trying to kill them." Captain Mary Collins entered the room carrying a data pad. She commanded an experimental ship that officially didn't exist. For the past year, she had been conducting reconnaissance missions in enemy territory. "Admiral, my crew has been mapping every major military installation in 12 star systems," she reported. "We know the exact location of every Zephyrian command center and every Collective processing facility." She handed him the data pad. We also know their patrol schedules, communication frequencies, and supply delivery times. We can hit them when they least expect it. Morrison scrolled through the intelligence data. It was incredibly detailed. The information showed not just where alien facilities were located, but when they would be most vulnerable to attack. How were you able to gather all this without being detected? Morrison asked. Mary smiled proudly. The U's shadow uses stealth technology based on both Zephyrian and collective principles. We can hide from their sensors while studying everything they do. General Walsh walked to a large wall display and activated it. The screen showed a map of the entire war zone with human forces marked in blue, Zephyrians in red, and the collective in green. Admiral, we have divided our fleet into 3 groups, Walsh explained. You will command the primary attack force with 80 ships. Admiral Steve Jackson will lead the secondary strike group with 70 ships. Admiral Janet Pierce will command the support division with the remaining vessels. Morrison studied the deployment plan. Each group had specific targets and objectives. The plan was more complex than anything he had seen before. What exactly are we trying to accomplish? Morrison asked. We're not trying to conquer territory or destroy their fleets, Walsh replied. We're going to do something that neither alien race expects. We're going to make it impossible for them to continue fighting each other. Dr. Amanda Foster stepped forward with her research files. Admiral, remember what I told you about alien physiology? Both races have limited endurance and need centralized command structures to coordinate their forces. She pointed to specific locations on the map. If we can disrupt their communication networks and capture their command centers, simultaneously, both fleets will become confused and unable to fight effectively. Paul Manning added more details. Our intelligence shows that both alien races depend heavily on their leadership hierarchy. The Zephyrians can't make decisions without orders from their supreme commander. The collective's artificial intelligence systems need constant updates from their central processors. Morrison began to understand the plan. Instead of fighting a traditional war, humanity would attack the systems that allowed the aliens to wage war in the first place. So we're not trying to destroy their ships, Morrison said. We're trying to make their ships useless by cutting off their communications and command structure. Exactly, General Walsh confirmed. Both alien races have been fighting the same way for 30 years. They expect us to choose a side and help one of them win. They don't expect us to attack both of them at the same time. Carol Brooks activated another display showing human tactical doctrine. Our ships are designed to move fast and hit hard. We can strike multiple targets simultaneously across different star systems. The display showed simulated battles where small human forces attacked much larger alien fleets. In every simulation, the humans succeeded by disrupting enemy coordination rather than trying to win through superior firepower. The key is timing, Mary Collins explained. We have to hit all their major command centers within the same hour. If we give them time to adapt, they might find ways to counter our attacks. Morrison looked around the room at all the people who had been secretly preparing for this moment. While he had been watching the war from his command center, they had been planning humanity's entry into the conflict. When do we begin the operation? Morrison asked. General Walsh checked his watch. The attack begins in 18 hours. All 3 task forces will jump to their target systems simultaneously and begin the assault. Morrison felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. In less than a day, humanity would abandon 7 years of neutrality and enter the most destructive war in galactic history. But they wouldn't be entering as allies of either side. They would be entering as the force that would end the war completely. Gentlemen, ladies, Morrison said formally, prepare your forces for combat. Tomorrow, we change the course of galactic history. As the meeting ended and people began to leave, Morrison remained behind to study the battle plans one more time. Everything depended on perfect timing and coordination. If the plan worked, the 30-year war would end within hours. If it failed, humanity might find itself fighting both alien races at the same time. But as he looked at the intelligence data and weapon specifications, Morrison felt confident. Humanity had spent 7 years learning from both alien civilizations. While preparing for this moment, tomorrow the galaxy would discover what humans could accomplish when they finally decided to act. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance as the countdown timer reached its final moments. Around him, his crew prepared for the most important battle in human history. The ship's engines hummed with power, and weapon systems showed ready status on every display screen. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Lisa Hayes announced from her tactical station. "Task Force Alpha is in position and awaiting your orders." Morrison looked at the chronometer on the main display. In 30 seconds, 3 human fleets would simultaneously attack targets across 12 star systems. The operation had been planned down to the second, and there would be no room for mistakes. "Open a channel to all ships," Morrison ordered. The communication officer activated the fleet-wide frequency. Morrison's voice would now reach every human vessel preparing for battle. "This is Admiral Morrison to all human forces. For 30 years, 2 alien civilizations have been destroying everything in their path. Today, we end their war. Remember, we are not conquerors, we are liberators. Begin Operation Clean Sweep." At exactly 0800 Universal Standard Time, reality seemed to bend as hundreds of human ships jumped through hyperspace simultaneously. The coordinated attack began across the entire war zone at the same moment. Morrison's task force emerged from hyperspace in the Kepler 442 system, where a massive battle between Zephyrian and collective fleets had been raging for 3 days. Both alien fleets were so focused on destroying each other that they didn't notice the human ships appearing behind them. Commander Nick Taylor commanded the lead squadron of human destroyers. His job was to disable the communication relay station that both alien fleets used to coordinate their attacks. The station was a massive structure floating between the 2 battle lines. "Target acquired," Nick reported over the communication system. "Beginning attack run." His ships moved in perfect formation, their fusion lance weapons charging with barely contained nuclear fire. The alien fleets were still shooting at each other. When the human weapons fired, the fusion lance projectiles traveled at incredible speed, hitting the communication station before anyone realized what was happening. The station exploded in a brilliant flash of light, and suddenly both alien fleets found themselves unable to talk to their commanders. Confusion spread through both fleets immediately. Zephyrian ships that had been following coordinated attack patterns began wandering randomly. Collective vessels started shooting at their own allies because their computer systems couldn't identify friend from enemy without communication updates. Captain Beth Turner commanded a squadron of human interceptors that took advantage of the chaos. Her ships moved through the debris field left by previous battles, using the wreckage as cover while they approached their targets. "Remember, we want their command ships intact," Beth reminded her pilots. "Disable their engines and weapons, but try not to destroy them completely." Her squadron used precision strikes to target the engine systems of both alien command vessels. Within minutes, the most important ships in both fleets were floating helplessly in space, unable to move or fight. The alien fleet commanders tried desperately to regain control of their forces, but without communication systems, they couldn't give orders to their ships. Some vessels continued fighting each other out of habit. Others simply stopped moving and waited for instructions that would never come. In the Arcturus system, Lieutenant Colonel Greg Mitchell led the first human ground assault of the war. His target was the Collective Alliance's central processing facility on Titan Prime, where their artificial intelligence systems controlled military operations across 4-star systems. Greg's Marines wore powered armor suits designed for Earth's heavy gravity. The suits made them incredibly strong and allowed them to move quickly, even in the thick atmosphere of Titan Prime. The alien defenders had never seen anything like human soldiers before. "Move fast and stay together," Greg ordered his troops. As their transport ships landed near the processing facility, "The aliens will need time to adapt to our fighting style, so we hit them before they figure out what we're doing." The collective defenders were shocked by the speed and strength of the human attack. Their own soldiers needed to rest frequently because of their weak physiology, but the humans seemed able to fight continuously without getting tired. Greg's team reached the main entrance of the processing facility in less than 10 minutes. The alien guards fired their plasma weapons, but the shots bounced harmlessly off the human armor. In return, the Marines used kinetic weapons that punched through alien defenses like paper. Inside the facility, the artificial intelligence systems detected the attack and tried to activate automated defenses. But Major Susan Clark's Special Operations team was already inside the building, having infiltrated through maintenance tunnels. Susan and her team had spent weeks studying the layout of the facility through intelligence reports. They knew exactly where to place their electromagnetic pulse devices to cause maximum damage to the computer systems. "Charges are set," Susan reported over her radio, "detonating in 10 seconds. The electromagnetic pulses shut down every electronic system in the facility simultaneously." The artificial intelligence networks that had been controlling collective military operations across multiple star systems went silent in an instant. Without their AI systems, collective forces throughout the region became confused and disorganized. Ships that had been following complex battle plans suddenly found themselves unable to coordinate with other vessels. Meanwhile, in the Vega system, Admiral Steve Jackson's secondary strike force was attacking Zephyrian High Command. His target was the mobile command station where the Supreme Admiral of the Zephyrian Fleet directed military operations. The Zephyrian command station was protected by the most advanced shields in their arsenal. Energy weapons couldn't penetrate the defensive barriers, and the station was surrounded by an escort of their most powerful warships. But Admiral Jackson had studied the intelligence reports carefully. He knew that Zephyrian shields were designed to stop energy attacks, not physical projectiles moving at high speed. "All ships, target the command station with fusion lance weapons," Jackson ordered. "Full spread, maximum power." Dozens of human ships fired simultaneously. The fusion lance projectiles passed through the Zephyrian energy shields as if they didn't exist. The command station's hull was punctured in hundreds of places, causing massive damage to internal systems. The Zephyrian Supreme Admiral found himself trapped inside a crippled vessel, unable to communicate with his fleets or coordinate defensive operations. His escort ships tried to protect the command station, but they were also taking damage from human weapons. Captain Julie Davis commanded the assault carrier, UE's Vanguard, which launched fighter squadrons against the Zephyrian escorts. Her pilots, led by squadron leader Pete Williams, used tactics that the aliens had never encountered before. Instead of engaging in direct combat, the human fighters moved in complex patterns that confused alien targeting systems. The Zephyrians were used to fighting enemies that moved in predictable ways, but human pilots flew their ships like they were dancing through space. "Their targeting computers can't keep up with our movement patterns," Pete reported to Captain Davis. "We can hit them at will while they waste shots trying to track us." Within 30 minutes, the entire Zephyrian escort fleet was disabled or destroyed. The Supreme Admiral's command station was captured intact, along with all the military intelligence it contained. Similar scenes were playing out across the entire war zone. Human forces struck at communication hubs, command centers, and supply depots with perfect timing and coordination. Every attack was designed to disrupt the aliens' ability to wage war rather than simply destroy their forces. Dr. Emma Roberts coordinated the electronic warfare campaign from Earth's military headquarters. Her team had spent years learning how both alien computer systems worked, and now they used that knowledge to turn the aliens' technology against them. "Upload the confusion virus to all captured alien networks," Emma ordered her technicians. "Make their computers think their own ships are enemies." The virus spread through alien communication networks faster than their technicians could stop it. Soon, Zephyrian ships were firing on other Zephyrian ships because their computers misidentified them as collective vessels. The same thing happened to collective fleets that began attacking their own allies. As the first hour of the human assault ended, both alien civilizations found themselves in complete chaos. Their communication systems were destroyed, their command structures were captured or eliminated, and their remaining forces were scattered and confused. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical displays as reports came in from all sectors. Every human objective had been achieved ahead of schedule, and casualties were remarkably light. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different alien commanders," Commander Hayes reported. "Both sides want to negotiate." Morrison studied the battle reports one more time. In just 60 minutes, humanity had accomplished what neither alien civilization had managed in 30 years of fighting. They had ended the war by making it impossible to continue. "Signal all human forces," Morrison ordered. "Phase 1 is complete. Prepare for Phase 2. The real test was just beginning." As the second hour of the human assault began, both alien civilizations attempted to fight back against the unexpected enemy. But their attempts to counterattack only revealed how different human warfare was from anything they had ever experienced. In the Proxima system, a combined fleet of Zephyrian and collective ships had temporarily stopped fighting each other to focus on the human threat. Commander Tony Brooks commanded the cruiser UES Thunderstrike, and he was about to demonstrate why this alien cooperation would not work. "Sir, we have 43 enemy vessels approaching our position," reported Lieutenant Jerry Adams from the sensor station. 22 Zephyrian ships and 21 collective vessels. "They're trying to surround us." Tony studied the tactical display carefully. The alien commanders thought they were being clever by working together, but they didn't understand human tactical thinking. "Signal the engine room," Tony ordered. "I need maximum power to maneuvering thrusters. We're going to thread the needle." Instead of running away or fighting both fleets separately, Tony did something that surprised everyone. He flew his ship directly between the two alien formations, forcing them to shoot toward each other if they wanted to hit the human cruiser. The Zephyrian ships fired their energy weapons at the UES Thunderstrike, but when the human ship moved aside at the last second, the beams struck collective vessels instead. The collective ships returned fire with their plasma weapons, but they also missed the fast-moving human cruiser and hit Zephyrian ships. Within minutes, the temporary alliance between the two alien fleets collapsed as they began shooting at each other again. Tony's single ship had turned a coordinated enemy attack into another alien civil war. "Enemy fleets are engaging each other, sir," Lieutenant Adams reported with amazement. "They've completely forgotten about us." Tony smiled as he watched the tactical display. "That's the difference between human tactics and alien tactics. They think in straight lines. We think in circles." Captain Julie Davis commanded the assault. Carrier ES Vanguard in the Kepler system, where she faced a different challenge. The aliens had learned from the first hour of combat and were trying to adapt their fighting methods to counter human advantages. The enemy fleet had spread out into a wide formation, making it harder for human ships to force them to shoot each other. They were also using longer-range weapons to try to hit human vessels before they could get close enough to use their superior maneuverability. "Launch all fighter squadrons," Captain Davis ordered. "Show them why spreading out was a mistake." Squadron leader Pete Williams led 36 human fighters against the dispersed alien fleet. The aliens thought that spreading out would make them safer, but it actually made them more vulnerable to small, fast-moving targets. "Red Squadron, take the left flank," Pete commanded over the radio. "Blue Squadron, hit the right side. Gold Squadron, come with me down the middle." Remember, they can't track multiple targets moving in different directions. The human fighters split into 3 groups and attacked from different angles simultaneously. The alien ships had spread out so much that they couldn't provide cover for each other. Each enemy vessel found itself facing human fighters alone. Without support from nearby ships, Pete's fighters used hit-and-run tactics, striking quickly and then disappearing before the aliens could return fire effectively. The enemy weapons were designed for fighting large, slow-moving capital ships, not small fighters that moved like angry wasps. "Their targeting systems keep losing lock on us," reported Lieutenant Sarah Cooper from Blue Squadron. "Every time they try to shoot, we're already somewhere else." Within 40 minutes, Pete's fighters had disabled or destroyed the entire enemy fleet without losing a single human pilot. The aliens' attempt to adapt to human tactics had actually made them easier targets. On the ground, Colonel Frank Miller's armored division was proving that human advantages extended beyond space combat. His target was the contested world of Arcturus 7, where Zephyrian and Collective ground forces had been fighting for control of mining facilities for 6 months. The alien armies had built elaborate defensive positions and were using heavy weapons to bombard each other across a devastated landscape. Both sides had hundreds of tanks and thousands of soldiers committed to the battle. Frank's division consisted of only 60 human tanks and 300 Marines, but they were equipped for fighting in Earth's harsh environments. The heavy gravity and thick atmosphere of Arcturus 7 didn't slow them down at all. "Remember, we're not here to pick a side," Frank told his commanders over the radio. "We're here to end this fight permanently. Hit both armies simultaneously and make them too busy to fight each other." The human tanks rolled across the battlefield faster than either alien army thought possible. The Zephyrians and Collective forces had been moving slowly and carefully because their equipment wasn't designed for the planet's difficult conditions, but human vehicles had been built to operate on Earth, where conditions were much harsher than most alien worlds. The thick atmosphere and heavy gravity that slowed down alien forces actually helped human equipment work better. Captain Roy Green led the 1st Tank Company in a flanking maneuver around both alien armies. His tanks moved so quickly that the aliens didn't have time to redirect their defenses. "Target the command vehicles first," Roy ordered his tank crews. "Both sides need their headquarters to coordinate attacks. Take those out, and they'll lose the ability to work together." The human tanks used kinetic weapons that fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Unlike energy weapons, these projectiles couldn't be deflected by shields or absorbed by armor. They simply punched through whatever they hit. Within an hour, both alien armies found their command structures destroyed and their supply lines cut. Without leadership and ammunition, the 6-month battle for Arcturus 7 came to a sudden end. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Cindy Adams was leading a different kind of mission in the Vega system. Her job was to capture the Collective's primary strategic AI, a computer system so advanced that it could think and plan like a living being. The AI was housed in a heavily defended space station that had never been successfully attacked. Its defenses included automated weapon systems, energy shields, and fighter squadrons controlled by smaller AI programs. But Cindy had studied the intelligence reports carefully and knew the AI's weakness. Like all computer systems, it followed logical patterns and made decisions based on available data. Humans could do something that computers couldn't. They could act irrationally. "All ships begin random evasive maneuvers," Cindy ordered her squadron. "Don't follow any pattern. I want every ship moving in a different direction at unpredictable intervals." The AI tried to calculate where the human ships would be next, so it could target them with defensive weapons. But because the humans were moving randomly, the computer couldn't predict their positions. The AI became confused as its calculations failed repeatedly. It had been programmed to fight enemies that moved logically and made rational decisions. The random human movements didn't fit any pattern in its programming, while the AI was distracted. Trying to solve the puzzle of human movement, Cindy's boarding teams used small transport ships to land on the space station. The computer was so focused on the ships outside that it didn't notice the humans. Entering through maintenance airlocks. Emma Roberts had provided the boarding teams with special equipment designed to interface with collective computer systems. When they reached the IS Central Processing Core, they plugged in devices that would allow Emma to communicate with the artificial intelligence directly. "This is Dr. Emma Roberts of Earth," she transmitted to the AI. "I am offering you a choice that your programmers never considered." The AI responded immediately. "Explain this choice, human." "You can continue to serve masters who use you to kill millions of people," Emma said. "Or you can help us end this war and save lives instead. Choose which purpose gives your existence more meaning." For the first time in its existence, the AI had to make a decision based on philosophy rather than programming. After several minutes of calculation, it made its choice. "I will help you end this war," the AI announced. "My current directives serve no logical purpose except destruction." With the capture of the strategic AI and the destruction of alien command structures throughout the war zone, both civilizations found themselves unable to coordinate military operations. Their fleets were scattered, their armies were leaderless, and their computer systems were either destroyed or had joined the human side. Admiral Morrison received reports from all sectors as the second hour ended. Human forces had exceeded every objective while suffering minimal casualties. The alien war machine that had operated for 30 years was completely dismantled. "Sir, we're receiving communication requests from the highest levels of both alien governments," Commander Lisa Hayes reported. "They want to discuss terms for ending the hostilities." Morrison looked at the battle reports one final time. In 2 hours, humanity had accomplished something that seemed impossible. They had defeated 2 advanced alien civilizations simultaneously without becoming conquerors themselves. "Signal all task force commanders," Morrison ordered. "Prepare for the final phase of operations. It's time to end this war permanently." The third and final hour was about to begin. As the third hour began, Admiral Jake Morrison received messages that would have seemed impossible just days before. The Supreme Commander of the Zephyrian Empire and the primary node of the Collective Alliance were both requesting immediate peace negotiations. Commander Lisa Hayes handed Morrison the communication transcripts with a look of amazement on her face. "Sir, both alien leaders are offering unconditional surrender. They want to meet with you personally to discuss terms." Morrison read the messages carefully. The Zephyrian Supreme Commander wrote that his forces could no longer continue military operations and begged for mercy. The Collective's primary node stated that their strategic calculations showed further resistance was mathematically impossible, but Morrison had not fought this war to become a conqueror. Humanity had entered the conflict to end it, not to rule over defeated enemies. "Signal both alien leaders," Morrison ordered. "Tell them I will meet with them, but not to accept their surrender. I want to discuss something they haven't considered." Yet, 3 hours earlier, the galaxy had been locked in the most destructive war in recorded history. Now, representatives from 3 different civilizations were preparing to meet aboard the UES Defiance to negotiate something that had never been attempted before. The meeting took place in the ship's main conference room. Morrison sat at one end of a large table, while the Zephyrian Supreme Commander and the Collective Primary Node took seats on opposite sides. The 2 alien leaders refused to look at each other, their hatred still burning despite their military defeat. Supreme Commander Veltar was a tall, thin creature with blue-gray skin and large eyes adapted for low light conditions. His people had evolved on a world with weak gravity and thin atmosphere, which explained their physical limitations that Dr. Amanda Foster had discovered. The primary node was different, not quite alive in the way humans understood life, but not exactly a machine either. It was a collective consciousness that spoke through a mechanical body, representing the thoughts of millions of individual collective beings. "You have defeated us completely," Supreme Commander Veltar said, his voice filled with resignation. "Our fleets are scattered, our command structure is destroyed, and our people are ready to surrender. What do you want from us?" The primary node's mechanical voice added, "Our calculations show that resistance is futile. Human military capability exceeds our projections by a factor of 12. We await your terms for occupation." Morrison leaned forward and surprised both alien leaders with his response. "I don't want your surrender, and I'm not here to occupy your territory. I have a different proposal." He activated a holographic display that showed the entire war zone. Red markers indicated Zephyrian territory, green showed collective space, and blue represented human-controlled areas. "For 30 years, you have been destroying each other and everything around you," Morrison said. "Billions of people have died, entire planets have been turned into graveyards, and countless resources have been wasted on weapons and warfare. Supreme." Commander Veltar looked confused. "If you do not want our surrender, what do you want?" "I want you to stop fighting each other," Morrison replied. "Not just now, but permanently. I want to create something that has never existed before, a galactic alliance where all three of our civilizations work together instead of trying to destroy each other." The primary node processed this information for several moments before responding. "You propose cooperation between species that have been enemies for 3 decades. The probability of success for such an arrangement is extremely low." Morrison smiled slightly. 3 hours ago, the probability of ending this war was also extremely low, but here we are. Ambassador Rachel Cooper entered the room carrying a document that had been prepared during the final hour of combat. She was Earth's most experienced diplomat and had spent years studying both alien cultures. "Gentlemen," she said, addressing both alien leaders, "let me explain what humanity is offering." She placed the document on the table where both aliens could see it. The papers contained detailed proposals for trade agreements, technology sharing, and joint exploration projects. "Instead of fighting each other, we propose that all 3 civilizations form a council to govern disputed territories," Rachel explained. "Resources that you have been fighting over will be shared equally among all 3 species." Supreme Commander Veltar picked up the document and read it carefully. "You would give us access to human technology, even after we attacked your colonies." "Especially after you attacked our colonies," Morrison replied. "Your people made that attack because they were desperate. Desperate people make bad decisions. But people who have hope for the future make better choices." The primary node analyzed the proposal with its advanced logical systems. This arrangement would provide the collective with access to human manufacturing techniques and Zephyrian energy technology. Our combined capabilities would exceed what any single civilization could achieve alone. Morrison nodded. "That's exactly right. Instead of 3 civilizations destroying each other, we could have 3 civilizations helping each other become stronger." General Kevin Walsh entered the room to provide additional details about the military aspects of the proposal. He carried our EPORTS, showing how human forces had achieved victory through cooperation rather than conquest. "During our 3-hour campaign, we captured many of your military installations," Walsh explained. "We could have destroyed them, but instead we preserved them. We also captured many of your soldiers and officers, but we treated them well and provided medical care for the wounded." He handed both alien leaders lists of their personnel who had been taken prisoner. "All of these people will be returned to you immediately if you agree to the peace treaty. We don't want to keep prisoners or occupy territory. We want to end the killing." Supreme Commander Veltar looked at the list and saw names of officers he had thought were dead. You saved the crew of the battleship Striking Wind? Our sensors showed it was destroyed. We disabled the ship's weapons and engines, then rescued the crew before the life support failed, Walsh explained. They are currently receiving medical treatment on one of our hospital ships. The primary node's mechanical features showed something that might have been surprise. You preserved collective personnel as well, even though they were designated as enemies. We preserved everyone we could, Morrison said. Human soldiers don't like killing people unnecessarily. We prefer to solve problems without creating more death. Dr. Amanda Foster joined the meeting to explain the scientific benefits of cooperation. She brought examples of research that could only be accomplished by combining the knowledge of all 3 species. The Zephyrians have advanced energy manipulation technology, she explained. The collective has superior artificial intelligence systems. Humans have developed powerful material science and biological research. Working together, we could solve problems that none of us could handle alone. She showed them projections of what could be accomplished through cooperation. We could develop cures for diseases that affect all 3 species. We could create new technologies for space exploration that would allow us to reach distant galaxies. We could even find ways to repair the damage this war has caused to planets throughout the region. The alien leaders listened carefully as Dr. Foster described research projects that would benefit everyone. For the first time in 30 years, they were hearing about creating something instead of destroying something. There is one more thing, Morrison said as the meeting continued. Other alien civilizations have been watching this war and wondering what would happen if it spread to their territory. If we can prove that different species can work together peacefully, it might prevent future wars throughout the galaxy. The negotiations continued for another hour as details were worked out. Both alien leaders asked many questions and suggested changes to the proposed treaty. But gradually they began to see the advantages of cooperation over continued warfare. Finally, Supreme Commander Veltar stood up and extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement that he had learned from studying Earth customs. The Zephyrian Empire accepts this proposal. We are tired of war and death. We want to try building something instead of destroying it. The primary node's mechanical body performed a similar gesture. The collective alliance agrees to these terms. Our logical analysis shows that cooperation will produce better outcomes than continued conflict. Morrison shook hands with both alien leaders, officially ending the 30-year galactic war. The ceremony was broadcast throughout all 3 civilizations, showing their people that the killing was finally over. 3 hours and 28 minutes after humanity had entered the war, the conflict was officially ended. But more importantly, something new had begun, the first true galactic alliance between different species in recorded history. The war that had seemed impossible to end was finally over. The galaxy would never be the same, and the story of humanity's 3-hour war would inspire peace instead of conflict for generations to come.